Have you ever heard a sound that just wasn't there? A whisper on the wind, a footstep in an empty house. Most of us brush it off. Nerves, an old house settling. But what if it's not? What if it's something else? Something listening. This is the story of the last echo. It all began with an old house, the kind you see in ghost stories. Gable House. It stood on a hill overlooking our town, abandoned for as long as anyone could remember. For my friends Liam, Maya, Chloe, and me, it was the ultimate dare. A place steeped in local legend, rumors of a family who vanished overnight, leaving everything behind. We were young, foolish, and hungry for an adventure that would make our summer unforgettable. We got what we wished for, just not in the way we expected. One humid July evening, armed with flashlights and a cheap digital recorder, we pushed open the groaning front door of Gable House. The air inside was thick, heavy with the smell of dust and decay. Moonlight streamed through grimy windows, painting long, skeletal shadows across furniture draped in white sheets, like sleeping ghosts. Spooky, Liam whispered, his voice barely audible, but in the dead silence of the house, it sounded like a shout. We decided to do what all aspiring paranormal investigators do: conduct an EVP session, electronic voice phenomena. The idea is to ask questions into the silence and see if the recorder picks up any responses from, well, whatever might be there. We gathered in the center of the grand living room. I held up the recorder, hit the red button, and asked the first question. Is anyone here with us? We waited, holding our breath. Nothing. Just the sound of our own nervous breathing and the creak of the old floorboards. Chloe, ever the skeptic, rolled her eyes. See? Nothing. Can we go now? This place gives me the creeps. But Liam, ever the believer, wasn't ready to give up. He took the recorder. If someone is here, he said, his voice firmer now, give us a sign. Make a sound. Again, we waited. The silence stretched on, thick and suffocating. Disappointed, we started to pack up. That's when we heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible sound. A soft, musical note, like a single key being pressed on a distant piano. We all froze. Did you guys hear that? Maya whispered, her eyes wide. We played back the recording right there. My question, the silence, and then, clear as day, a tiny, disembodied voice whispered, "Get out." A cold dread washed over us. It wasn't one of our voices. It was thin, reedy, like a child's. Chloe, who had been so dismissive just moments before, was now pale as a sheet. "Okay, that's it. I'm leaving," she declared, her voice trembling. But the rest of us were hooked. Fear mixed with a thrilling curiosity. We had found our sign. We had to know more. Over the next few weeks, Gable House became our obsession. We returned again and again, each time venturing deeper, growing bolder. The strange occurrences escalated. Doors would slam shut in empty hallways. Objects would move on their own. A book sliding off a shelf, a teacup rattling in its saucer. And the voices on our recordings became more frequent, more demanding. Leave. You don't belong here. It hears you. We started noticing a pattern. The phenomena were always centered around sound. Our whispers, our footsteps, the click of the recorder, they all seemed to provoke a reaction. It was as if the house itself was listening, and it didn't like what it heard. One night, we found an old diary in the study, tucked away in a dusty desk drawer. It belonged to a woman named Alara, the last mistress of the house. Her entries started out normal, filled with descriptions of parties and daily life. But then, the tone shifted. She wrote about an unseen guest, a silent observer in her home. She described a creeping paranoia, the feeling of being constantly watched. Then she mentioned the echoes. She'd hear conversations that happened hours ago replaying in empty rooms. A laugh, a cry, a snippet of a song, all bouncing back from the walls. The final entry was chilling. Alara wrote that the house had learned to mimic them, not just their sounds, but their voices. It would whisper their names from the shadows, luring them, turning them against each other with twisted versions of their own words. "The house is alive," she wrote. "It feeds on sound. It traps our voices and keeps them forever. Soon, it will take more than just our words. It will take our echoes. It will take us." The last page was blank. That was the night the family disappeared. We should have run. We should have taken the diary to the police, burned it, anything. But we were arrogant. We thought we were different. We thought we could control it. We decided to conduct one last experiment. The ultimate EVP session. Our plan was to go into the house and remain completely, utterly silent for 1 full hour. No talking, no whispering, not even a footstep. We thought if we starved it of sound, we could weaken it, maybe even break its hold. It was the stupidest decision of our lives. We returned to Gable House one final time. We set up our gear, synchronized our watches, and found our spots in the living room. The hour of silence began. The quiet was absolute, a physical pressure in our ears. It was more terrifying than any noise. Minutes felt like hours. My heart pounded against my ribs, a drumbeat I was sure the house could hear. I saw Liam fidgeting, Chloe biting her lip until it nearly bled. We were all on the edge of breaking. And then, the house broke the silence for us. It started with a whisper. My name, Ethan. It was Maya's voice, clear as day, coming from the corner of the room where she was sitting. But I was looking right at her. Her lips weren't moving. Her eyes were wide with terror. Then, another voice, Liam's this time, hissed from the hallway, I see you. But Liam was right next to me, frozen in fear. The house was using our voices. It was throwing our own echoes back at us, twisted and malevolent. Chloe let out a small, terrified whimper. That was all it needed. The whimper echoed, amplified, and morphed into a blood-curdling scream that filled the entire house. The air grew cold, and a darkness seemed to seep from the walls themselves. We scrambled for the door, panic finally overriding our morbid curiosity. But as we fled, I glanced back. I saw something that will haunt me for the rest of my days. In the center of the room, a shimmering, indistinct shape was coalescing from the shadows. It had no definite form, but I could feel it watching us. I could feel it listening. We burst out into the night, gasping for breath, not stopping until the silhouette of Gable House was a tiny speck on the horizon. We never went back. We never spoke of it again. We tried to move on, to forget. But you can't forget something like that. Liam moved away a year later. Maya developed a severe phobia of quiet places, constantly needing noise around her. Chloe and I drifted apart, the shared trauma a wall between us. As for me, sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I hear things. A faint whisper that sounds like my name. A footstep in an empty hall. And sometimes, if I listen very, very closely, I can hear a soft, musical note, like a single key being pressed on a distant piano. I know it's the house. I know it remembers me. It took our echoes that night, and a part of us will be trapped in those walls forever. It's still there on that hill, listening, waiting for the next sound, the next voice, the next echo. So if you ever find yourself in a place that feels a little too quiet, be careful what you say. You never know who or what might be listening, and you never know if your words will be the last echo it keeps. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoy tales of the unexplained and the terrifying, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Stay safe and check your shadows.